Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. Our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Anyone who happened to hear us because of this technology advancement, welcome to our program On Target. It's a program where you can pick up the telephone and call and speak about any subject matter. You can make your contribution. We cut off in the middle of a sentence because we believe what you have to say might be even more important than what we are saying. A lot of issues in the world, you know. I take some very strong issues with African leaders. This is a time when Africa should steal the spotlight. We have a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine is an independent country. They have suffered much. They suffered quite a lot in the Great Famine under Joseph Stalin. But they are an independent country. And Russia attacked Ukraine. And one would have expected smaller and less powerful independent countries to rally with Ukraine against an imperial power. That was a golden time for African countries to unite and ask for unconditional ceasefire and negotiated settlement and act like a broker. Instead, African countries took sides. Professor Lumumba and Julius Malema, and I call these two leaders because they were very vocal, was practically justifying Russia's correctness for invading an independent country. That was a time for Africa to show that it could be a broker, a main player in the world. If these leaders get a chance, they sell in poor Africans for other imperial power like Russia and China. These African leaders have not learned. They have not learned the lessons. They complain about the imperial power from Europe. They have an opportunity now to work together and broker a peace, be a main player, show you colors. Again, they seem to be sucking up to Russia and China. What price you people must pay for these dumb leaders in Africa? And you're always complaining about imperial power. And you're moving from one imperial power to another imperial power. These individuals, Professor Lumumba and Julius Malema, your voices should be strong, asking for unity, working together, and unconditional peace and a negotiated settlement. The same thing should have been done with the war with Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran and the Palestine. These leaders should be asking for unconditional ceasefire and a negotiated settlement. Instead of that, you pull your sword and you're taking sides. The whole world wants Africa divided. Africa have about 1.6 billion people, just as India 1 point something and China. But China is one country. India is one country. Africa is about 55 or 56 different countries. When would Africa realize that you have to work together and speak with one voice, particularly on your foreign policy? The Caribbean leaders do the same thing. You're small, but you could be Talawa. But you have to speak with one voice. This issue between Israel and the Muslim is as old as mankind itself. The Quran says, make no peace. Peace is disallowed with the Jews and Christians. You don't have to take side. This war goes back since biblical times. What you have to do, speak with one voice in the Caribbean. Speak to save lives. Speak for a negotiated settlement. And don't openly take sides. But Caribbean leaders are not learning. Just as African leaders. They're not learning. And the time has come for us to understand ideology is no longer a big issue in the world. China is practicing state capitalism. Russia is practicing capitalism. The Democratic Party in the United States, perhaps more socialistic and liberal than China and Russia. We have to understand these things. And we in Grenada have to look at our system. While all this cyber war is going on, cell phone is being blown up. Thousands of cell phones has been synchronized and blown up. Cyber war. Our children in Grenada can't pass maths, can't get biology, chemistry, and physics. We are left behind big time. And we're not holding the authorities accountable. Exam have just finished, June, July. Result come out. I don't know if it's CAPE or GC or CXC or what. See, did you hear meetings? Did you hear a panel discussion? Did you hear a press conference from the Chief Education Officer and the Minister of Education? We have not done well. We've done badly. Every year we're getting worse. The Chief Education Officer, the top henchmen or henchwomen in education, ought to give explanation to our public. Why we doing so badly in school? Cyber war is going on. Australia gave Ukraine some cardboard drones. They what about 25,000? While that is going on, our children fail in science and math subject. And every year, they're doing worse. And it seems nobody cares. We have to hold the Chief Education Officer accountable. You must tell us what is it that you are doing to improve the education results. The time has come. You see, that is more important now than any other time in our history. Because we have a government that is propagating a class system. And they're using certification to justify class. So if you go in university and you have a degree or a master's or whatever, and you could speak English like the British, and you look as if you're bright, they put themselves in a class. None of these individuals was children of the petty bourgeoisie. None of them. None of these individuals that lead us today are remnant of the plantocracy or the colonial powers. All of them are children of labor. The only yardstick, the only argument they could use to put themselves in another class, to put themselves in another class, is education. What education? Walter Rodney had a PhD in his 20s. I think Martin Luther King too. A number of people in the world had their PhD in their 20s. You have 40, 45 years before you get a master's degree. Government pay you billing for you to get a degree. The government of Grenada, all these individuals you see that play in the upper class today, the government pay for them to go to university because their parents was broken. Parents had no money to pay. They had to have scholarship. So they are the children of labor. They are the children of the proletariats. When they come out in university, they turn their back on family, on communities, because they think they're bright. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, scholar.
Mr. Pierre, I listen a lady call on a radio station this morning and talking about the government doing good. Carrico people just greedy. Why they don't wait to let the government do what he have to do? Mr. Pierre, the woman sit down in America, and she still running she mouth, and she says she from Carrico and she house, she roof go to. So I don't see why Carrico people just they beating them out like that. Mr. Pierre, I just don't understand why.
Maybe she been promised one of the low-income houses. Because the one on the ground is that Deacon decide to sell the low-income houses for the people in the diaspora.
She are one of them.
So maybe that's why.
Houses. Yeah. That's why she beating she mouth like
well,
that.
you see, she right. She protecting she interests. Yes, scholar. She must be protecting she interests. The government seems to make a deal with people in the diaspora, America, Canada, England. He said the houses in Grenada are too good for those people he considers classless and commoners. He call them condominiums. Big name. From low income to condominiums. So it appears that the government decided to sell the house for them. And that's the challenge. So the people, you cannot blame them if they're trying to give the government public support in face of our accusation and the government cannot answer us. These houses that was built for low-income group that did not have the capacity or the financial ability to face the financial institutions in Grenada. The government of the NNP lobbying the Chinese decided to build 2,000 houses for the people of the lower income group. And they decide to evoke a method of rent to own. So they give you the house. They say the house value $30,000, $35,000, $40,000. You could take the house and pay $235 or $300 a month. But the payments a month is on the principal. So when you finish pay, the house is yours. They tell them if you sell a cow and you get some money, you could pay. Because faster you pay, is quicker you own the house. So people 60 years old who retire could have get the house. Brembeku people who physically challenged could have get the house. And government increased tenfold the amount of people that could have get a job. So more money would come in the hand of the poor of the poor. A new government come. They change the policy. They say hell was the poor. They say when you're making work for the poor, you're making them lazy. They say it's handout. They call them so-called vulnerable. And they snatch like a thief in the night the houses from these people, and they decided to give it to people in the diaspora. That is the kind of insensitive and wicked government we have. If you remember in 2008, 2013, the National Democratic Congress went to the Chinese and lobbied them to take back 1,000 houses. And I believe to give them some millions, I heard of 40 million. I don't know if it's 39 or 41, but 40 was the number hearing with greater regularity. The opposition got wind of it and objected. So the Chinese didn't give them. So now that they come in power, they decide to take the houses and give it to the people in the diaspora. Because $75,000, $80,000, $100,000 might be about 25, 30,000 US. So some people in the diaspora could manage it easily. Or they could go to the GDB bank and get the money to buy. But take, for instance, a health worker who work with government for 60 years and retire. They can't get a house. No financial institution in Grenada, none, would give them the money to buy the house. So these people just watch a dream snatch away from them, from their very eyes, like a thief in the night, because they never expected the government to do that. Prior to election, Deacon Mitchell chastised the government from not giving them the houses. He said that is a criminal act. And as soon as he come in power, the people expected to get the houses. Well, what he do, he remove the letter, the permission, the authority, the keys that was given to the people for the house. Deacon take it back. It is a betrayal of the worst kind. It's like number 10. That is what you call a traitor, a political traitor to the people. They lie to the people without compunction. They snatch away the dreams and aspiration and hope of the poor. And they offer it on a platter to some of their supporters in the United States of America and England. This is a terrorist action. In terms of politics, I think the caller was justified and correct to say Deacon is poor people terrorist. I agree with him. I really agree with him. And this makes it more opportune for us to look at ourselves, particularly when we poor, to see what is being done to our children in school. If education is the answer, and our children are exiting school without the basic education, and nobody cares. Nobody in this government cares. The Minister of Education don't care. McDonald College is operating on a shift system. The Minister of Education could have get other schools to absorb the children that go to McDonald College for the time being. They did absolutely nothing. Imagine you're going to school in Form 1 and some children going to school by shift. We have an education system where the educators don't care. Result come out. It was worse than last year. It was worse than last year. And the Minister of Education and the Chief Education Officer does not feel it justified to give the public an explanation and tell them what they will do to improve the result. Don't expect the teachers' union to be concerned unions don't care about productivity. You have to understand that. Let me repeat that. Trade unions don't care about productivity. They care about the members. Their role, their objective, their responsibility is to protect their members, make sure they don't lose pocket, and their benefits is maximized. So you can't blame the union if children don't doing well. A patriotic, thoughtful union leaders would show some concern. But you can't blame them. Then who in society that is prepared to hold the chief education officer and the minister of education accountable for the disgraceful results in the basic subjects that are taught in school? Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, my brother, welcome.
you speak about education, about the wars and this. All them school is teach by women. Is them women who are not teaching them? All the women are taking out to fight on politicians for money. All the fight for money. They're not teaching. They're not doing their work. So who you pray for that? They never mind coming to school and teach. They run they want to check for incest, you want to check for sex, shut up, all kind of thing. They don't want to come in school. They alone. They're not teaching because they don't go to school. And some like Mr. Pierre, don't teach them school. All the teachers them join them. They put by them, don't give us teaching them, don't give them. They hatred from them. They children them. They make a boy them go. You know? Them because all them school is good. So pay you a good day.
Yes, scholar. We have to be concerned. If we continue on that trajectory, what is going to happen to Grenada? Our result is getting worse. Our children are failing. All the prisons in the Caribbean, including Grenada, is overpopulated. The majority of people in prison did not have a good education. Every day you see more vagrants on the street. Young men begging without shame. The mental institute, if you don't believe me, visit the mental institute. Just now they have to expand that facility. And we have a government that lying as one horse-trotting. And a minister of education that take holiday in a disaster. And we are not hearing the voice of the chief education officer. And our journalist is silent, they turn politician. So we need voices to ask on behalf. You see, even if your children are doing well, your children are going to end up with our children. Even if your daughter bites and smoke, and she's a lawyer or a doctor, the ambulance driver might be our children. Her driver might be our children. She man might be our children. His woman might be our children. So it's in your interest to make certain that the majority of children in Grenada is well educated, multi-skilled, flexible, and endowed with the characteristic that gives them the competitive edge in the marketplace. We are a small country, 100,000 people. If you have 3,000 children going to school and only 15% is doing well, that is sad, sad, sad. And our educators, academia, don't seem to. In fact, they're glad. Because they want to create a class system in our country based upon certification. You make it, I don't make it. This kind of attitude. And that cannot be right. And all of us need to be concerned. Particularly, if your children are not doing well in school. If you send a teacher to teach maths, and out of 100 children, 10 pass, the teacher cannot teach. If you give a sergeant of police 100 young recruits to teach drilling, and the day of the parade, the performance was unacceptable, you have to fire the sergeant. If you ask somebody to make cake, and out of 10 cake, only one that could pass, that person is not a good maker of cake. And if you ask to teach English, and the majority of children failing, you cannot teach English. We have to hold these people from academia accountable. They're not productive. They don't care. And our children are failing. There is no justification today for our children not doing better in school. We have electricity, telephone, water, and internet. We're better than most countries in the Caribbean. We're comparable with the best, and we're second to none. The teacher-to-children ratio in school is better than most developed countries in the world. We have all kind of gadgets, and children have expensive phones. We have the most land owners in the region. So we have economic potential. And we register over 60,000 vehicles. And 20% of the teachers that go to school drive themselves to school. So discretionary income abound. Then why our performance in school is so disgraceful? It's unacceptable. Our educators should shed a tear like Obama. And Obama pretend he crying, touching the eyes. Pretend. Make people believe you're sorry. Pretend. You can't be laughing like jab, jab, ha, ha, while all these children feeling. It's not good. A number of the groups in school have disappeared. It means our educators is no longer interested in how well our children are socialized. Music is not taught in school. With 30 minutes walk away from the sea, 80% of our people cannot swim. We're not doing better in cricket. We're not doing better in football. Generally, we're not doing better in sports. We have one or two bright spots, like Kirani and the others. But even with them, we have not maximized sports in the school where they're from. As a means of honoring Kirani, we should maximize sports in the school where they're from. How much swim clubs you have in Guave and Victoria and Soubise? Areas where the school is near the sea. How much swim clubs you have? Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Go right ahead, caller, yeah.
Good afternoon to you
Yeah.
and your listeners. I I share your concern, read the education system, but I want to differ with your statement that trade unions are not interested in production. And I'm saying that against the background that I taught or I served the Grenada Union of Teachers with some highly distinguished educators. I'm going to call some names. I know I'm missing some, but that's those that come to my mind. And most of those persons have inspired me to be a professional. Persons like Clarice Charles, Vyra McQueen, Victor Ashby, the late Victor Antoine, Anthony Park, persons like Greta Franklin, Alwyn Pierre, Glide, and Christopher. I worked with Marvin Andel, Tessa McQuilkin, General Secretary, Elaine Henry McQueen,
Jeanette
Miss
Dubois.
Elizabeth Forsyth as well.
And
I
Jeanette
mean,
Dubois.
these people, Jeanette Dubois, well, I didn't work with her on the executive at the time. When I joined the executive, she was not there, but I know of her work. Huh? So yes, we can add her to the
Samuel Britton,
distinguished
Michael Pierre.
educators. Oh Lord. Well, maybe Mr. Pierre was my doodoo darling. So many of those highly, I would say, distinguished educators, who impress upon us as young trade unionists the importance of being professional. So much so, when I became General Secretary and it was more demanding of me in terms of my union work, that's how I started Saturday classes at St. Mary's to do the extra so that my involvement in the union would not compromise the students' performance at national exams. So, but I am concerned as to the direction of education or the position or the status of this or the situation. And sometimes I think it's a confusion where education is at the moment. So I do agree with you that with the poor performances, we need to engage all stakeholders. And I recall, I must have mentioned it already on your program or another program, the days when the union and the ministry collaboratively had a consultation to look at mathematics, to examine, what was happening and to chart a way forward. I remember the input of Mr. Bell and Mr. St. Clair. May their soul rest in peace. These persons labored in the vineyard. But what is happening now? These people were passionate, especially Mr. St. Clair and Mats. Sometimes I wonder what Mr. St. Clair would have been saying now. I was involved in marking of the scripts for common entrance from the inception. I think it was from 1999. And Mr. St. Clair gave me the responsibility of looking at the main areas of weaknesses. I had to do that at the end of the day, do my report as to what were the areas that were extremely weak and to see what possible interventions. So something has to be done and we need to make noise. We need to make noise. I find we are very, very quiet. We need to make some noise. So let's see what will happen, but we really need an intervention. Otherwise, I may not be around, but it would be a sorry state of
We're
affairs.
going down fast.
So,
Yes.
we're going down a precipice.
We're going down fast.
So, yes. So, have a good day, sir.
Yes, the world is
All the best for the
moving
rest of you.
forward and we seems to going on fast. And all the names this individual have called, all of them was involved in a number extracurricular activities in their community and nationally. They were involved in additional activities. They saw it as a package deal. But my statement is, the union's first objective is the members. And if the union take a selfish role and say, I don't care, then they would not bother with productivity. The leaders that she called, and I had some, I happened to interact with some of them. A lot of them is alive still. They was involved in a number of extracurricular activities. I witnessed some of them coming to meetings on Saturday with their children. But if we take a position is work to rule, say yeah, who pass. This seems to be the order of the day now. So the trade union leaders of before seems to take a total approach of protecting the members while seeking the interests of their children. The trade union leaders of today, they don't even care. They don't even care about some of the people paying them agency fee because they don't consider them as the members. The trade union leaders of today, it seems to me that they're propagating the government class structure. Particularly the teachers' union executive. They want to fire those green blood. Look at what is going on in Karakou. Did you hear the voice of the teachers' union executive? That school cannot reopen? One school, one secondary school in Grenada suffered damage. It was better to take the children from that school and send in another secondary school for a couple months. Even if they were carrying McDonald's college uniform while in Montrose, a SAS, a St. Joseph Convent, or that school in Victoria. It would have better to do that. You have a shift system. You never bother to work on the school during the time provided. The Minister of Education take holiday and the union leader lost his tongue. And every time he speaks, is to compliment the government and blame public workers union members. That is the quality of the individuals we have. And we have to bear in mind that while that is going on, cyber war is taking place around us. Cyber war is taking place around us. More and more, our children is getting left behind. They would not be able to be competitive on the job market. The effort that was made to give these children a second chance, the government is thwarting the effort. That is the Imani. Over 3,000 to 4,000 people was placed in the Imani program to give them a second chance. Go and study. Go and get some job experience. Get some money so you don't fall into crime and prostitution. And you don't have to obey the Calypsonian that tell you open your business when you have a problem. And the other Calypsonian say licks it. You don't want people to lose hope. You don't want them to lose their dignity. So government employ over 3,000 of them. Give them some money so they could buy clothes and pay for the basic amenities. Give them some job experience. Encourage them to study. Some of them went to agricultural college in Trinidad. Some went to university. Some went on courses in China and Morocco. A number of different countries in the world. Give them a second chance. Some attended beekeeping course in China. Some attended food courses in China. While they was in the Imani. You have this group of people come and tawat the program. Now, what is happening to us? If our children is not doing well in school, and when you take thousands of them and give them a second chance, and you have a government that's subverting the program, tricking them, and so much of Grenadians silent. Why? Because you believe they're going to end up in the same class with you. We must have more people addressing the issues. If you listen to me and you think what I'm saying doesn't make sense, tell me that. If you believe there is any justification in what I say, examine it for what it is worth. The Minister of Education have to provide information for the public with the Chief Education Officer. What you intend to do to increase the productivity level in school. The level it is unacceptable. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Good day, and how are you, sir?
Great, man. Good, man.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, I want to say something here. I want to make a comment here, and it's very important. Mr. Pierre, the Bible says that in the last days, critical times had to deal with will be here. And I'm quoting that scripture because of a number of activities that I've seen. He said, men will be lovers of themselves, blasphemy, haughty, having no natural affection, not open to any dialogue. I use the word dialogue, or conclusion. I am quoting these words so that people don't get me wrong. And I want to say this. If you don't have affection for people, if you don't have the know-how for people, critical times is here. And I use those words to let people know. How can children learn when there is no vitamins, no minerals, no food in their stomach? It becomes difficult for them. When they don't know where the next meal coming from, they don't want to go to school. They don't want to be part and parcel of children having dialogue as children. They will think about where they will get something to eat, who they could loaf something, who they could steal something from. And make it worse, we have social media. With all the bad vibes on social media, children is watching it and they are following it. Even senior ones too. When things are tough, they resort to no settlement, no discussion, no apology. What comes to the fore? A knife, a cutlass, a gun, or something, and somebody lost their life. Somebody get haughty because they cannot reason. And education today used to be a thing called people used to help each other in a village. No, it's not so today. You can't tell my child what to do. You can't correct my child on the street. You can't tell her, don't do that. The child will curse you and tell the mother will give you a tongue licking for yourself. Who is you to tell my child what to do? Bingo. These are the issues that we face with today. And I am saying that if leaders in our society decide to take side and to pay back some people justice or to take revenge for some people in the past, it becomes hard for our society to be united and understanding. And the thing we call, how you call it? Sense, common sense. If it don't prevail in our society today, Mr. Pierre, with children growing up like stupidities and idiots with a lot of education. They have education, but they will be like stupidities and idiots. I am saying to say that if good sense don't prevail among teachers, among parents, and dialogue is not taking place in order to develop our children, then we are just working for the money, and the more money we get is the more we want. And that is what will happen in this society. If we don't go back to roots and go back to basic, food is getting scarce. Banana is down. Blogo fig planting is low. Yam, a few we will get later down in the year. Tanya dashing again. No, we cannot be sustained by rice, flour, macaroni alone. We need a proper diet to give our children. And if we can feed our children with our vegetables that they can be fed properly, then we're not making sense in our society. Thank you very much, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar. We have to believe that we could change things. The first thing is we as a people have to believe that we could change things. We don't have all the answers. But we have to encourage discussion. And we have to believe we could change things. If you light a little candlelight in a very dark room, people will gravitate towards the light. So we have to try to speak the truth. And when we speak, a 6-year-old child must understand what we say. The reality in the day is our children are not doing well in school. You don't expect 100% of the children to get the minimum education. But not 70%. You expect way over 50% of the people to be successful. And if you're making furnitures, and the majority of furnitures you make is not marketable, you will go broke. If you have a business and you're operating at 10%, eventually the business would close down. And those who teach our children mathematics, biology, chemistry, physics, English language have to do better. You have to do better. You're not doing good. And we're judging you by the results. Yes, we have some teachers maybe doing very well, but the majority are not doing good. The chief education officer is even more powerful than the minister where education is concerned. When results come out, the chief education officer should be glad to hold a press conference with all and sundry. When you open up your press conference to journalists, you hope they represent all and sundry. The result is not good. You do good. Tears should be shed. But worst of all, the job market called for skill sets, not for just strong, unskilled labor. In yesteryear, you want workers in agriculture and fishing. But today in our society, we have cyber war going on. Cell phone is being blown up from 2,000-3,000 people one time, synchronized. Ukraine is fighting war. Australia sell cardboard drone give them. And they're blowing up expensive thing with it. Government have a program to make a paperless society. And while that is going on, the majority of people cannot even maneuver around a cell phone. So it means that we are screwing our people. We seem to be systematically disadvantaging our own people. The government reinvent a class system in the society. And the government classify some Grenadians as classless and commoners. The government believed that the low-income houses that was built for people of the lower income looking too good for them. So the government refused to give them. That is the environment we're in. So we have to address the challenges we have based upon the environment we're in. We're creating hopelessness. You know what is the answer? More crimes. More prostitution. Because when your son and your daughter cannot get a job, they go use what they have to make money. And prostitution is one of the oldest trade in the world. And when poverty is abound, you have increase in social decadence. When your survival is threatened, your moral code of ethics deteriorate. I have not heard the voice of the teachers. Not even speaking about the fact that Carriacou don't know when school will be open. That McDonald College is operating in a shift system. They have shown no concern that the examination results is deteriorating. What will happen instead? Draconian laws has been passed in the country. Government is flaunting the law with impunity. That is the environment we're in. How could we remain silent? How could so much of our intelligentsia, academia, remain silent? How could we so much of our institution or organization remain silent? These organizations that marshal and demand respect. So you want we poor people respect you? Because we don't have class. Because we're commoners. And I don't think it's right. I don't think any one of us could benefit from it. Because even if you live in gated societies, Malcolm X said by any means possible, people won't starve. They're going to break your place. They're going to commit crimes against who have. They won't starve. They're going to buy sex from your successful son. And they will thief his head. And they will give him one amount of tabanka. As a people, we need to do better. We have to face the truth, you know. We must face the truth. You can't walk in a wrong tongue like a heifer. And you don't want to face the truth. We have to give our children a better chance. We have to prepare to give them a second chance. The government have to tell us clearly, what is your policy on housing? We must know. That must not be a iffy subject matter. You must tell us what is your policy on the money. We must know. It must be clear and straightforward. It can't be iffy. You have to let us know what steps you are taking to improve the productivity level in school. We have to know. You say you're going to legalize weed. 2 years pass. You had an upsurge in crime as a direct responsibility of the bad behavior of the Prime Minister Dick Mitchell and the Attorney General Claudette. Both of them bad behavior contributed directly to the upsurge in crime. You have to apologize, withdraw this thing. Don't behave so again. You can't continue to that. You have ministers cussing the police. I'm not saying in yesteryear there were not incidents of bad behaved ministers, but it was never systematic. It didn't appear or seem to be the policy of the modus operandi of the government. So the government have to change the attitude. Otherwise, you're going down a slippery slope fast. And you're going to bring down people with you. We have to, and people have to understand that. And we have to start in our homes. We have to watch our children in our homes and give them the better deal. Parents, fathers. Every time I talk about home, his mother has come to. Because sometimes we don't have father. 60% of the household are led by women. And a lot of women have children not for the same man. That alone is complication. So I like to address my issues to women and encourage the man to support. And we want to provoke discussion. You don't have to agree with us. But we want you to discuss the issues and see if there is any merit in what we see. And when we come back next week, we could talk again. And you could get an opportunity to punch. Thank you very much.